Hi, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado, and welcome to a new series of camera gear talks that I'm going to put out once a week as well on this same channel, so thanks for being here. So today I want to talk about how I use a camera and whether I think that it's a great camera. So some cameras people think are just amazing, they're the greatest, they're perfect. And I've used these cameras, and I don't know that I agree 100% that everything is what other people say. So today, we're going to start this series with a Leica M3. And the Leica M3 is a beautiful tank of a camera that I think that if you were talking about build quality and you want to impress people with how seriously well made this is and engineered, this is the camera for you. But there are some caveats. Do you wear glasses like me? Because I know that I have to put a diopter onto the viewfinder and then lift my glasses up and look through the viewfinder without the diopter. The viewfinder will tend to scratch my glasses. And there's another thing about if you're using it with glasses, you also can't always see the whole frame without moving your eye around a little bit, which, small problem, but my Nikon F3 doesn't do that. So I think it's an incredibly good camera for times when I want to work with putting my glasses up. I've seen pictures of Richard Avedon like this with cameras. I'm thinking that's exactly what he was doing. And I think it's great for if you are willing to take the time to see the whole viewfinder, work without your glasses if you're a glasses wearer. Now, if you aren't a glasses wearer, then you're ready to go. No diopter needed. The other thing is I'm left-eyed, which lucky for me, no, I'm kidding, it would be better to be right-eyed because this camera was made so that you could put your right eye up and then you could watch things enter and exit the frame. And I'm perfectly good with keeping my right eye open while I'm shooting, but it's all blocked up by the camera. Now, if I shoot a vertical, then I can watch things enter my frame because then the right eye isn't blocked up, but only on a vertical do I get that advantage. But if you don't have a left eye dominant, if you're right eye dominant, well, right away you can use this without those limitations. So if somebody said, well, isn't this camera great for everybody? I would say it's especially great for people who are right-eyed who don't wear glasses. There's another element about this camera that I would say is its strong point is it's so well built. But well built also means it's heavy. And a camera you don't take because it's too heavy and you can't be bothered to take it, you're not going to use. So factor that in. It is incredibly well built. It's a beautiful, beautifully engineered camera, but it's heavy. It's made out of brass. It's definitely, here's another thing. I've taken it out in wintertime, and if you don't have gloves on, it gets cold. Metal cameras in the winter, if it's 12 degrees out in Colorado, they get cold. So these are all the things that you don't hear about in typical gear reviews. They just talk about how great a camera it is, how great build quality, what a great viewfinder, and it does have all those things. But it doesn't work all the time for me because of the limitations of my left eye dominant, because of the fact that I have corrective lenses. So those are real things, and I would say it's a joy to carry and use. It's got a fast 50 f2 lens on it. It's really good for what it is. There is one other limitation that I know I'm always concerned about. And when I take my Nikon F3 and I lay it on the car seat, I'm good to go. But this I can't lay on the car seat. Not unless I put a cap on it. Because since there's no mirror in the Leica, And since it has a cloth shutter, I'm always concerned that, oh no, if I leave it face up and I turn a corner and the sun comes in my window and the sun hits the lens may act as a magnifying glass and burn a hole in the shutter curtain. And now I have to go get a repair. Or I'll have a little black spot on all my pictures. That's something that you don't have to deal with a camera with a mirror. Or if it had a metal shutter, but it doesn't. It has a cloth shutter, like a rubberized cloth. And it's readily repairable, but the question is, are you good with that? If you're walking and it's around your neck, do you turn it around if the sun is out? If you wear it on the shoulder, do you wear it on the shoulder that the other side has the sun because you don't want the sun to shine into the lens? Is that a real concern? You know, many photographers have traveled the world with this camera and they didn't worry about the sun burning holes all the time. But were they aware that they had to keep the camera moving, or if the sun is up higher in the sky, it's not as much of an issue. But again, laying on the car seat, I wouldn't think that that's something I would want to do for too long, that it's even a consideration. But with the SLR with a mirror, you don't have to worry about that. So those are the kinds of things that I say, this is a great camera, but it has some things to be aware of. Those things could affect your usability. Do you use it every day? And I know for me, if I'm looking to do quick, if I'm looking to shoot a demonstration or a street, if I'm going to take my time, I'll use this. The glass is up with a diopter, and it's a pleasure to use. But it's nowhere near as fast as using the Nikon. And it does have limitations for the viewfinder because I have to deal with the glasses. So my recommendation, the Leica M3. Also, if you're a wide angle person, when this came out, it was called the M3 because it had 3 frame lines in the viewfinder for a 50, a 90, and a 135. There aren't too many people using these with a 90 or a 135, and it's got a great viewfinder for a 50. If you decide you want to put a 35 on it, or a 28, now you have to get an accessory viewfinder to match the lens. They made a 35 millimeter Summicron with goggles that kind of modified the view, but it's kind of a clunky looking thing. And it adds a lot more size and weight to the camera. So those are all factors. I would say this is a great camera for somebody who has good eyesight, who likes to shoot with a 50 millimeter lens in his right eye. That's my perfect shooter for this. And everybody else, it's a great camera when you want to shoot occasionally, but you may not use it as much as people would say, oh, it's the only camera you need, or use it constantly. It's the only camera you'll shoot with. For me, it's not that way. I know from my own personal experience, I like shooting it, but not all the time. And I reach for the Nikon, I reach for other cameras, sometimes a Rolleiflex, sometimes different formats, instead of this, because of how I may work that day. So, beautiful camera. You'll get a lot of compliments. It's well engineered, well made. If you don't overpay for it, if they're going for $1,000 and you pay $900 or $1,000, you may make $100 in a few years if you keep it in okay shape. Don't burn a hole in the shutter curtain. But if you pay $1,200 for it and they're going for $1,000, you might lose $200. But so what? $200 for a couple of years, that's worth it. No matter what, they're not going to go down in value like a digital camera would. Like an M9, which came out with probably a $5,000 or $7,000 price tag, you can buy them for $1,500, $2,000 now. Because digital loses its value because it's a computer inside and it's battery dependent. This has no batteries. This is ready to go, always ready to go. It's a mechanical shutter. I would recommend this highly for somebody who wants simplicity, but not always the quickest. And then for me, when I'm shooting it, and you have to extend the lens before you can use it on this camera, you can zone focus, But I tend to, with a Leica, I want to put the camera up and I want to critically focus. What's the point of having a high quality lens, a camera known for its great lens, and then not critically focus it? So for me, I may be a little bit less worried about focus on a SLR, but on the Leica, I want to critically focus. So I use this as a slower camera. This is definitely one that isn't when I want to just point and shoot. And I would like to see how I could get quick at knowing exactly this is infinity, this is 10 feet, this is 3 feet. I would like to be able to say I'm really good at that. Oh, I can just pick the camera up and point and shoot, but I really can't. I don't shoot that camera like that. I don't use it like that. So I don't worry about how long it takes to load or if it's quicker or worse. It's like I'm not running rolls and rolls of film through any camera that regularly. I'm running a roll and it might last for a week or two. So that's not an issue. But it's about how I use the camera, and I definitely don't use this on the quick. It's one that I use and I take my time with, and it's a pleasure, but I know it's there, it's heavy, and it gets cold. So little things to think about before you say, oh, the Leica is the end-all be-all. It's beautiful, but it may not be the camera that you most reach for, depending on how you use a camera and what you're going out to shoot today. All right, that's my photography talk. Little gear review as a user. I'll try to bring these to you on a regular basis, and I look forward to your comments and what your experience is with the cameras I discuss. All right, that's today's photography talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, even a few dollars a month helps a lot. Hit the Patreon and I'll be back. We'll talk photography. As always, here's the good light.